Stop. I can't decide. Just go away. Leave me alone. I'm too stressed to decide. Have you ever felt like that? Do stressful times shove you into making poor decisions? Or find yourself reacting before you can even think clearly? Well, by now you've probably figured out why my podcast and series is called Straight Talk with Phil. And today I'm going to rip the Band-Aid off and talk about how to make better decisions when you're stressed. Because here's the truth. Stress isn't about events, action, workload, and lack of sleep. It's also about perceived control. So when you feel out of control, your nervous system reacts. There's a moment under stress where how you immediately see things or perceive them to be starts to feel like reality. And it's in that space where and when control just quietly slips away. Look, we've covered a lot in this series on stress, but I can't emphasize this enough. This is a pivotal episode, and you need to understand with the skills you can and need to master how stress affects your ability to make sound decisions and how to move from reacting and knee-jerk into grounded intention in the moments that count. Now, this isn't theory. These are powerful techniques refined over decades that you can use immediately and see results, especially when stress is high and clarity kind of feels out of reach. So, continuing on from earlier podcasts in this series, you will have learned that I'm very straightforward and I also like things simple. Here's my question for you. Do you make good decisions under stress? Well, do you want to make better decisions? Then stick around until the end. Okay, let's do an episode quick recap. You've now got more insight into what stress is and it isn't, why you get stuck in it, how to break the cycle, and why work stress follows you home, and why you can't switch off at night. Now, I'm going to share the decision-making pot of gold with you. So we've broken the loop. We've asked the questions. Remember the ones from earlier in the podcast series. So your brain's starting to see options. And that process has nudged you out of reactive and towards deliberate thinking. I suppose clearer next step picture. So let's plug into your decision superpower, your reality checker. Now, I call it the me or it filter. Here's an example. Let's say you decide, I'm going to confront my boss about the workload right now. And your mind goes, yeah, that's a good idea. Let's do it. Well, that's a possible decision path, but now comes the next challenge. Confronting him or her right now while it's fresh. But consider this. Yes, it's fresh in your mind, but it's also fueled by the emotions of the moment and the chemistry of the moment. And how do you know this decision is actually a good one? Or is it just another loop in disguise and you're setting yourself up for more pain? You need a reality checker. What you control versus what you don't. Kind of a clarity filter. Or you'll just end up back in that stress cycle. So here is the gold. Is this something I control or is this something outside of me? The biggest mistake that fuels stress is trying to control something you can only influence. Let's break it down. You control your effort, your attitude, your communication, your preparation. You can't control the sun rising and setting or other people's reactions, traffic, storms, your network failing at work, or your hard drive blowing up. Trying to control the it is like grabbing smoke. The tighter you squeeze, the more it just slips through your fingers and your stress rises. Now, here's the nuance. There's control, there's influence, and there's acceptance. What's the difference between control and influence? Well, control is what you decide and do. Influence is what you can shape but not determine. And it's crucial to recognize that expecting full control over things beyond you and your reach just sets you up for disappointment and anxiety. You may not control your boss's decision, but you can influence it through clarity, preparation, better communication. You may not control your partner's emotions, but you can influence the relationship through honesty, empathy. You may not control the referee in sport, but you can control your training and your mindset, your behavior. Stress reduces dramatically when you stop fighting it and focus on the me, the you. And that's acceptance. Now, let's go one step deeper. Buckle up. Seatbelts, this is going to hit a nerve. What if we throw gut feelings into the mix? People often say, trust your gut. Well, ask yourself this. Am I basing this decision on feeling or reality? Now, don't get me wrong. Gut instinct is powerful. Let me take a moment here to unpack why those 4 questions in episode 3 form such a crucial decision strategy, especially compared with relying on gut instinct alone. Your gut feeling is real. As I said, like a smoke alarm, but it's shaped by 2 main things. Past experience, your body's current chemistry, like adrenaline, norepinephrine, cortisol. Simply put, gut feeling equals pattern and current chemistry. This means your gut is like an old tape playing in the background, sometimes really helpful, but often triggered by old stress, old emotions, and old fears, not the reality of the present moment. And that's why those reality checker questions are essential. They help you slow down and move from reacting impulsively to responding with clarity. They guide you to separate what you control from what you can only influence. And understanding real responsibilities, avoiding guilt that's not yours to carry, distinguishing what's really possible versus what's unlikely and unnecessary worry. Balance your gut feelings with clear, grounded reality, because gut feelings don't always equal truth. So, what do I actually control here? And what am I responsible for? And what am I not? What is possible versus what is probable? Am I reacting from heightened emotion or responding from grounded reality? They slow the spin and give oxygen. They move you from reacting to responding. Think of it like this. In a storm, a compass matters more than speed. Your nervous system may want urgency, but clarity does require pause. Look, if you only take one thing from this, let it be this. Influence is the strongest power you have outside yourself. Illusions of control is a waste of energy and fuels anxiety, which I'll cover more in the anxiety series. Here's what you need to remember. You can only control what's going on in you, and at best you can only influence things, events, people outside yourself. The it. Trying to control more than that, you're just simply handing the reins back over to stress. But for now, ask yourself, is this me or is this an it? And remember, when you know where control begins and ends, your nervous system starts to relax. Not because the world's changed, but because your position in it has become clearer. So I'll see you in the next one.